The first thing you notice is the smell. Not fire, not flowers, not the sterile chemical bite of a hospital you've been breathing for 3 days. Something older than that. Something that has no name in any language you were taught because no living person ever needed to name it. You notice the smell before you notice you're not breathing. That comes second. The not breathing. And here's the thing about that. It doesn't panic you. That's what you'll think about later, in the months that follow, lying in the dark at 2 a.m., with your wife's hand in yours and the ceiling fan clicking overhead. You'll think, why wasn't I afraid? A person should be afraid when they stop breathing. Every nerve in your body is wired for that exact alarm. But the alarm didn't go off. It just stopped. Like a clock someone quietly removed from the wall. You are 39 years old. You are on an operating table in a hospital in a city you've lived in your entire life. The surgery was supposed to be routine. That's the word your surgeon used. Routine. He said it the way people say words they've said so many times they've forgotten what they mean. You had a blockage. They were going to fix it. You were going to go home in 2 days and complain about the food and make your daughter laugh and go back to your life, which was ordinary and imperfect and entirely yours. That was the plan. Then your heart stopped. You don't feel it stop. You feel the moment just after. The way you feel the exact second a power cut hits a house. Not the darkness itself, but the sudden absence of every sound you didn't know you were listening to. The hum of the refrigerator. The buzz of the light. The low mechanical breath of a world running on electricity. Gone. And then you are somewhere else, not floating above the operating table, not moving through a tunnel, not any of the things you half believed in and half dismissed over the course of a life spent not thinking too hard about this particular subject. You are standing on something flat and dark and wide, and the sky above you, if it is a sky, is not black and not white, but both, layered in a way that shouldn't make visual sense and does anyway, like looking at water that is simultaneously still and moving. There is no temperature, not cold, not warm, the absence of temperature, which you realize is its own sensation. The way silence is its own sound. You stand there, you wait, you are not alone, you feel them before you see them. That's the only word you have for it, feel. A presence that isn't threatening and isn't comforting and is simply there, the way gravity is simply there, invisible and total and not particularly interested in what you think about it. Then you see the shape. It doesn't walk toward you. It is simply closer than it was. You didn't see it move. You don't see it move. It closes distance without crossing it. It is roughly human. Roughly. The way a reflection in dark water is roughly the thing it reflects. It doesn't speak, not with a mouth, not with sound, but you understand it. And this is the part you will spend 11 months trying to explain to people who were not there, using a language built entirely for people who have never been there, assembled from words that were invented by the living for the living, and it will never once be accurate. But you will try anyway, because not trying feels like a betrayal of something you can't name. It shows you things. Not your life, not a highlight reel, not the cliched procession of memories you were promised by every near-death account you ever read in a waiting room magazine. It shows you other things. It shows you a woman in a small apartment in a city you've never been to, sitting at a kitchen table at 4 a.m. Not crying, just sitting, her hands flat on the wood, and you know, without being told, without any exchange of words, that she lost someone today, and that she will be okay, not soon, but eventually, and that the knowing of it, the certainty of it, is somehow a kindness being shown to you specifically, and you don't know why. It shows you a field, somewhere cold, winter, or something that functions like winter. And in the field, 2 children running toward each other the way children run when they've been separated too long. Full body, full speed, no caution. And you feel something crack open in your chest even though your chest isn't there. Even though you have no chest here. The feeling arrives anyway. It shows you the ocean, a specific part of it, deep, dark, still. Something moving through the dark so slowly that slow doesn't even cover it. And it's not frightening. It's ancient in a way that makes frightening feel like a small word for a small concern. You watch. You don't understand all of it. You're not supposed to understand all of it. That much is clear without being said. Then it shows you something else. It shows you a door, ordinary, wooden, the kind that belongs to a house you've never lived in. White paint slightly chipped at the bottom corner, a brass handle worn to gold by years of hands, and behind that door, you can feel it without opening it, is everything you left on the other side. Your wife saying your name in a voice you recognize as the particular voice she uses only when she's scared and trying not to be. Your daughter, 8 years old, drawing at the kitchen table with the focus of someone who doesn't know yet that the world contains the kind of fear currently sitting in the hospital waiting room down the hall from your body. You'd almost forgotten about it. The presence shifts, not urgently, not like a warning. More like a hand placed gently on your shoulder by someone who understands exactly what they're interrupting and is sorry but not sorry enough to not interrupt. You understand. This is the choice. Not delivered as a question, not framed as an ultimatum, just presented the way a window is presented. Open, light coming through, the world visible on the other side. You can look at it as long as you need to, but at some point, a window is either something you climb through or something you don't. You think about your daughter. You think about the way she says your name when you come home, still in your coat, still carrying the weight of the day, and she runs at you from whatever room she's in, and the weight just, goes. Not because anything changed, because she ran at you. You reach for the door. The smell comes back first. The chemical bite of the hospital. Someone's voice counting numbers. A pressure on your chest that lands like a fist, because that is exactly what it is. Someone's fist, heel striking your sternum in the measured, desperate rhythm of someone who has been doing this for a while and is not yet ready to stop. You breathe. It is the most violent thing you have ever experienced. Air entering a body that had decided it was finished. Every cell restarting like an engine flooded and turned again until something finally caught. Someone says, "We have him." You don't say anything, you can't. But you hear it. We have him. And you think, distantly, through the roar of a body fighting its way back to function, yes, you do. The hospital stays 3 more days. Your wife doesn't leave. She sleeps in the chair. She brings your daughter on the 2nd day, and your daughter draws you a picture of the 2 of you standing in front of a house, and the house has a sun above it with a face, and you put it on the small table beside the bed and look at it every time you wake up. The doctors use words like remarkable and unexpected and extraordinary recovery. They say your brain function is completely normal. They say there's no deficit. They say you're lucky. You nod. You are polite about it. But in the quiet hours, the 3 a.m. hours, when the hospital wing is mostly dark and your wife is finally deeply asleep in the chair and the machines beside you keep their low, steady rhythm, you stare at the ceiling and you think about the shape that closed distance without crossing it. You think about the woman at the kitchen table, the children in the field, the door. You don't tell the doctors. You tell your wife once, 3 weeks after you get home. You are sitting at the kitchen table after your daughter goes to bed and you say it plainly, the way you've decided is the only way to say it. I was somewhere before I came back. I was somewhere and something showed me things. She looks at you. She doesn't dismiss it. She doesn't lean in with hunger the way some people will later, the ones who want it to confirm something they already believe. She just looks at you with the particular steadiness she has always had and says, "What kind of things?" And you try to explain. You use all the wrong words. You know they're wrong while you're using them, but she listens to every single one. When you're done, she is quiet for a moment. Then she reaches across the table and puts her hand on yours and says, "Do you think it was real?" You've thought about this question every day since you came back. Here is what you know. You were clinically dead for 11 minutes. Your heart produced no output. Your brain registered no measurable activity. By every definition available to the living, you were not there. And yet, the woman at the kitchen table, the children in the field, the door with the chipped white paint, you didn't invent those. You have tried to convince yourself you invented those. It is easier, in some ways, if you invented them. Because if you invented them, the world stays the size it was when you went under. Manageable, mapped, running on electricity you can see and explain. But here is the thing you can't get past. 3 weeks after you come home, you are on a call with your brother, halfway across the country, and he mentions, offhandedly, no gravity, no awareness of what he's saying, that his neighbor lost her husband a few weeks back. Heart failure. She's not doing well. You ask him, does she live alone? Small apartment? He pauses. Yeah, he says. How did you know? You don't sleep well after that. Not because you're afraid. That's the part that keeps surprising you. You are not afraid. What you feel is something closer to the opposite of afraid. A kind of openness that wasn't there before. A crack in the wall of the ordinary world you've been living inside your entire life, light. Coming through it now, steady and sourceless, and not particularly interested in whether you're ready for it. You are not the same person who went under. You know this, your wife knows this. Your daughter, 8 years old and unaware of the specific reason, knows this in the way children know things. Not as a fact, but as a feeling, the sense that her father came home from the hospital, somehow more present than he was before, more there. She climbs into your lap one Sunday morning while you're reading and puts her head against your chest. You feel your own heartbeat under her ear. 39 years old, husband, father. The man who went into a routine surgery and came back from somewhere no map has ever named, carrying things that don't fit in any language the living built. You hold her. The ceiling fan clicks overhead. Outside, the city moves. You breathe.